I was saying this to you last week, but so I've started Severance, which I'm very much enjoying. Not prepared to talk about it on the show yet because I haven't caught up with season 2, and I'm aware there's spoilers galore everywhere. I'm just at the moment just enjoying it for me in my own way, and I'm very much enjoying it. But I'm having this very strange experience where I'm watching it, and it's absolutely one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. Very well written. I look forward to every episode. I digest every episode. I can't binge it. I think about it. I take it away, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching it and thinking, oh, this is so interesting. But simultaneously, I'm struggling to keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
I've never had that before, where the quality of the show is great, but every episode without fail, I'm getting the heavy eyelids, the droop.
Because it is metronomic and slow. It definitely is a slow burn. I think people, when Talia watched it, she was like, it's just a lot of people running through hallways looking scared.
No, it's so much
like,
more than that.
I disagree totally. I think it's really good. And it's worth, I've only seen to the end of season 1, but I thought the payoff was quite good and I was really in, and I'm excited to start season 2. I don't feel like it's a show you can binge for the reason I think you've just said. It's actually quite good to savor it and digest it, but I look forward to doing that when I get to season 2.
And I agree. It's the coldness of it and everything. It's just this sort of, it's like a haunting lullaby that I can't help but get tied to.
You're in your Severance red today, which is very political, very telling.
Yes, yeah.
Very rebellious, very, if you watch the show, you know.
The colour coding. Yeah. I was surprised at how sinister it is. It really is, because it's not creepy or anything like that, but we finished an episode, and it's what, like, I suppose, the best of Black Mirror used to do, way back. Yes. That kind of deep, oh, God, I feel a bit unnerved
unspoken
there. I want to know more.
Nastiness.
Yeah, there's a real darkness, a real nastiness. It's this cruelty that's horrible.
I think it's come out, at quite a timely moment when, like, the post-COVID go back to the office work-life balance is very much in flux.
Yeah.
I quite like how timely it is,
and also I like how it's given that sort of a 70s retro kind of look, even though it's very it's set in present day,
and the
office design is like a retro,
almost like
stereotypical office space.
Fascist, communist, brutalist. Like you could see the statue of the dictator, the TVA, very much TVA.
But when this isn't a review of it, we'll maybe do a little special on it once we've caught up with it. But I've never had that experience before where something is so good that it makes you fall asleep.
And it's frosty and cold over there. Where's it set? Do you remember where it's set?
I don't know, but from the drone shots, I'm like, could be Utah, James.
Oh,
it's definitely Midwest America.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. You actually know as little about the outside world.
Yeah.
From my point in the show, as you do.
How many episodes are you in?
I am in to episode 5, I think.
Okay,
of season 1. So keep me posted. But again, you can't rush it. I enjoy the week to think about it. I mean, I watch it every night, but like I need
the finale's great.
Great.
Really
I expect it to that.
Guys, if you have Severance 2 thoughts, please send in spoiler-free emails to us, and we'd read them out on a Severance season 2 review.
Yeah, we will.
So please, if you're watching it, enjoying it, not enjoying it,
but if you are going to email them in. And if you want to talk about plot details, can you flag it in the headline of your email? Because otherwise,
don't spoil stuff for us.
Yeah.
Because if you want to play this game,
I'll
ruin you.
Yeah.
You looking forward to Avengers? Because I'm going to see that before you. So just don't fuck with us.
Anyway, welcome to episode 169 of Pulp Kitchen. Last week we reviewed Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, which I'm still thinking about and I still loved. Yeah. And we also saw Captain America, Brave New World.
Yes.
If you want to hear our thoughts on that and indeed our spoiler thoughts on Captain America, head back to the feed from the previous week.
Lots of good little ahead of the Avengers theories in there if you wanted to check that out. Yes. I enjoyed that episode.
I did.
Ramifications for the lead up.
For the wider the MCU. I didn't know I cared about the ramifications. Then we got talking about it and I was like, I guess I'd watch
that. You're kind of into it.
I guess I'd watch that very much.
So go check that out if you haven't.
So thank you for joining us. But as ever, James, we had a double take this week.
Fantastic. Jam-packed double take this week. Loads of news stories. Leonardo DiCaprio's doing like 17 movies with Martin Scorsese. He's got biopics coming out of each pocket. We talked about The Rock having a little bit of a career reconnaissance. Reconnaissance. It's a reconnaissance.
It's a reconnaissance with Scorsese, yeah.
Yeah, him, Safdie, Scorsese, all of them. And obviously, the huge news of the week was about Amazon and James Bond. Obviously, last week, we caught up with official James Bond correspondent, Benedict Townsend, who gave us a sort of his long take on who he thinks should be the next Bond after we very clearly said, look, it's got to be Harris Dickinson.
Yes.
We obviously had to get him back to do a voice note on this whole situation, and he very kindly provided us a voice note. We're going to play you now a clip from our James Bond chat from Double Take, and you can hear his thoughts and our thoughts on the whole situation. So a little sneak peek preview for you there. Enjoy this little sneak. at Double Take.
I will give you my world exclusive prediction. Okay, this is a Pulp Kitchen exclusive I'm delivering you. I think in the absence of Barbara and Michael G. Wilson, by the way, Michael G. Wilson's 83, so he's allowed to retire. But in the absence of them, I think Amazon needs a figurehead to sort of place at the core of Bond, you know, because it can't just be the Amazon Corporation presents Bond. I don't think that works. So I think they're going to appoint a Feige-style kind of series runner who will have creative control, kind of like DC has done with James Gunn.
You know, what are your thoughts, and are there any counter arguments to how this may be what Bond needs? Is there any counter argument this might be a good
I'm
thing?
kind of with the mob on this one. I don't want Amazon, who, as far as I'm concerned, haven't released many shows that I could look at and go, oh, well, look at the treatment they gave to show X or film Y. It doesn't fill me with confidence. And I think there's something to be said about James Bond as a character not being overly saturated and done to death. He is meant to be a mystery and elusive. We're not meant to really know who he is. That's part of his charm. That's part of the sort of allure of James Bond, is that we don't really know that much about him. And structurally, making films every 3 to 5 years adds to that. If we got every single film every 2 to 3 years with backstories and TV shows, I almost wonder if you're going to lose what makes James Bond elusive and special.
It's a single character franchise.
Yes.
It's not a Star Wars or Marvel world where there is an infinite world of different characters who also have their own storylines and you can spin off and break off easily.
Well, hang on, George. They're going to do a Q and Moneypenny show.
I'm sure
and
they
find out
will,
how
but,
Jaws
like,
got
come
his
on.
jaws. And there you go, guys. That was just a little snippet from Double Take. We hope you enjoyed it. That is our new show where we talk about all things to do with film news. If you enjoyed that and you wanted to get a little bit more of us, go over and head over to our Patreon. That's the best way to support us. You get a Siren tier, which gives you access to Double Take. You can also get ad-free listening to the show, priority access to have your emails read out, and you could of course, be a producer of the show itself.
Absolutely.
So if you enjoyed that and you want some more of us, Double Take is there. Link is in the description.
Anyway, we've got some films to talk about today. We have seen
The Monkey.
The Monkey.
It's the hardest part of every single week is what are we talking about?
I really noticed like the short-term memory is really difficult because we haven't logged it yet.
No.
So we're talking about The Monkey, Osgood Perkins' new film after he made Longlegs last year. I'm also going to talk about Grand Theft Hamlet very briefly. What's that? Well, I will tell you in a moment. We'll also have some emails and we'll end, of course, with the game. And if you're new to Pulp Kitchen, if you, I don't know, were looking for a Bridget Jones review last week and clicked on this and you've returned for another week, thank you. Welcome back. You're in good hands. We'll have a lovely episode for you right now. James, can I just tell you about Grand Theft Hamlet,
please?
Which is a documentary.
GTA Shakespeare crossover.
I know. Who would have thought? That's the thing. It's got a great title and a great little poster. This is a documentary that's just come out on Mubi that I wanted to flag because it won the Best Documentary Prize at South by Southwest last year. It was shown at the London Film Festival, and when I went to the Beethers last year, it won loads of awards there, and I was like, okay, a lot of good buzz about this. Grand Theft Hamlet is a documentary filmed entirely in the world of Grand Theft Auto Online, in which two out-of-work actors during the third COVID lockdown in 2021 decide to stage an entire production of Hamlet within the world of the game, okay? The world's very depressed outside, it's pandemic, and they're thinking, what can we do to spend our time in this virtual world? They're accompanied by one of the actors' partner, who's a filmmaker, who is sort of the objective third party there to capture this endeavor. They set about recruiting willing participants within the online community of GTA Online from all over the world to put on this production. It starts as a fun idea and becomes a sort of full-time project and a welcome distraction from COVID. They actually hold auditions within the virtual space in the Los Santos Bowl that they find in the map, and you have people coming from all over the world turning up. Will they shoot the other participants or not? Because this is the world of GTA. They do costume fittings. They go to the clothes shops and think, what can we wear for laities in this scene? They go location scouting. They go up in a helicopter and find where can we scene some of the great moments of the play throughout the GTA map. So they are doing a virtual play. It's a strange endeavor, and there are obvious challenges. Obviously, trying to match the movement of a GTA avatar to the
Lifelike and realistic as it is.
To the movements and motivations of a Shakespearean character is very difficult. You also have to deal with the encroaching violence and disruption from other players within the open world GTA map, and also NPCs as well, because if you accidentally fire a rocket launcher, the police are going to come. Yeah. Anyone who knows GTA, I feel like I don't need to explain GTA to people. They should understand. So I watched this last night because I'm very curious about it. It's a curious little story. It's 90 minutes long, the documentary, and even though there are moments where I slightly struggled with the visual disconnect of purely watching entirely GTA characters for the whole time, with voiceover implanted on them from the player's headset. So you're watching a GTA avatar, which up close isn't rendered that amazingly because it's made
especially
in 2013.
Ones,
and the mouth is just moving and it doesn't synchronize, and that kind of is slightly distracting. There's that. There are also moments where I got the feeling that they assembled all the footage in post and they needed to incorporate the semblance of a narrative. So I think they slightly manufactured scenes of drama between the main participants, between the filmmaker, for example, and the main actor, just to give it a sense of drama. There's one point where they sort of say, "Oh, you haven't really been talking to me. You've been really distracted in this game," and it just I haven't looked into see if it's accurate, but I just listening to it, I was like, that sounds like you've scripted that just to give it a bit of drama.
Right.
But it is ultimately a very curious living testament to the power of community, the power of determination, and the importance of theatre. You have, it reminded me watching it that theatre is not about seeing the biggest Hollywood actor go on the West End stage and paying £200 for a ticket. It's about gathering people together to create something immediate and real. It's not going to be for everyone, but it's an important I think it's an important artifact of cultural history. When we look back at the COVID era and we say, this is how people express themselves through art and culture, you've blended the high art of Shakespeare with the sort of the regarded as low entertainment of Grand Theft Auto. And it's a really sort of curious story. It's great to see some people turn up and they say, I've never done a play before. But I play GTA Online. I'm just really curious to try this out. Yeah. And there are some people who just turn up and watch it. Just like watch them rehearse. They don't do anything. They hire this one guy, not hire him, but this one guy who doesn't want to act to be in the play, but he's like the security supervisor. So he hangs over the production in a massive fighter jet, shooting off other players so they can carry on and do their production, which is really funny. That is funny. And it is fun to, GTA 5, which is obviously the map it's based on, has great sort of orange sunsets and vistas, and using that world I think is great. And it's great. They obviously had the Rockstar Games allowed them to put this film together afterwards. So it's a curious little thing. It's on Mubi right now. I know some people absolutely rave about it. Yeah. Go check out Grand Theft Hamlet.
So there's interestingly have been a few instances where this type of dramatization within a game has happened. So I remember Red versus Blue from Rooster Teeth was a series that was shot inside Halo. And Halo Online, it started off as this joke online-only web series, but it ran for years and years and years, got shut down, came back. And that was, I never really watched it, but I knew people regarded it really highly as this hilarious, manufactured story that was just captured within Halo. And then, the GTA Online phenomenon. GTA Online was always really big. It launched after GTA 5 properly, and this thing, it had a bit of a dodgy launch, but anyway, in COVID there became these Twitch streamers who, because of COVID, starting to really sort of spend loads and loads of time with GTA Online, collaborated with other streamers. And there were these amazing, I never engaged with it because just, you got to pick and choose what you watch in this world, and I have nothing against it, but it was there were these amazing gangs and rivalries, all very much good fun, but relationships, people having you were seen out with that person, and the whole thing was being played out on Twitch, and people were getting involved. There was real Scarface style betrayals and things happening within GTA Online. It was such a byproduct of COVID. And I remember seeing some of the clips and highlights of what was going down in the drama. And I listened to a couple of podcasts of people explaining what was happening, that they were spending 13 hours inside GTA Online. It was all for everyone to watch. It's just kind of mind blowing.
There's a bit in it where they're location scouting, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, I'm down under the underpass with loads of other players," and she's like, whoever's playing this game at 7 o'clock in the morning needs to have their head examined. And then the other person's like, that's us. That's what we're doing right now. We're also doing it. We've been on this game for 13 hours trying to look for a plane to transport the audience from one thing to another.
I also want to give a massive shout out to the World of Warcraft South Park episode. That is phenomenal. Phenomenally good.
Is that the one where they're in the basement and they're
even if you've never watched South Park,
I have seen that, yeah.
It's just fantastic and actually captured in the game, and it just works and it's hilarious.
South Park is something that I think I watched a lot of for about 2 months, and then I never returned to because I think I found it. I don't know if it was on Sky or something. I struggled to.
I've always
find it.
Weaved in and out. I've gone through phases where I've really enjoyed it, and then I watched the Escape to the Pandaverse one recently, which was so funny.
Yeah,
it was about franchises and Kathy Kelly. It's like a 50-minute special, and it's just brilliant. I think there's sometimes I'll go, oh, South Park's amazing, and I'll jump back in for a few episodes and I'm like, oh, for some reason I'm just not hitting. But then every couple of years it manages to just be the funniest thing I've ever seen. The most amazing parody that's endured. I think it's just brilliant. It really, because of that, it's edged itself over Family Guy for me. Whereas I think there was a moment when I was an early teen, I was like, oh my God, Family Guy's so out there, so crazy. And I think I've now come round on South Park being a more accomplished show.
I feel like Family Guy kind of played itself out a little bit, and it's been going for like 25 years. And I don't know, there was a crossing point, I think. I remember when I was at uni when I was just suddenly like, I think I find Seth MacFarlane really annoying.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I actually find him that funny.
You can get overexposed to it, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I see like TikTok clips of some really great Family Guy jokes, and that is really funny and really like out there. But sometimes like you just being quite crazy with your comedy isn't enough. I need you to also like parody it. The South Park series with PC Principal is really funny.
Okay.
That's a really good series you could go in and watch.
Okay.
That's funny. And I don't know how they get away with it. They're able to laugh at things that nobody else would be able to do, and they just find that perfect line of laughing at themselves, laughing at other people. It's brilliant.
Satire.
It's satire done
There we
very
go.
well.
Which
really
is very rare, but you need it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, that was Grand Theft Hamlet. If you have any thoughts on it, send them into hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com.
So, George, we went to go and see The Monkey. Not Monkey Man.
No.
With Dev Patel.
Not Better Man, which
Not
also
Better
has a
Man,
monkey in it.
Which has a monkey in it. This is The Monkey.
I was trying to explain to someone, I was like, so you know that film Monkey Man, which doesn't have any monkeys in it, but is a man dressed up as a monkey who's haunted by violence, right? Okay, there's also Better Man, which is a man who looks like a monkey because never talks about, but hates
actually
himself.
isn't a monkey, but hates himself.
And there is moments of violence in that. This is about a man who's haunted by a monkey with lots of violence, but is no way a monkey.
A triple bill ready to happen if you ever saw it. This is a film from Osgood Perkins.
Hello, I'm Osgood Perkins.
Hello, my name is Osgood Perkins, who last year came out with Longlegs, horror film we both really enjoyed. Dark, sinister, nasty. I thought it was scary.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Really shot really interestingly. Osgood Perkins, who in our review of Longlegs, we talked about the, sort of his story being a younger version of Norman Bates and the tragedy befell him and his parents.
His dad's Anthony Perkins.
Anthony Perkins, he comes out with this horror film, and a film we both really enjoyed, and he's come back very quickly now.
So I'll just say, actually, I'm going to repeat it because I didn't actually say it. So the thing is about Osgood Perkins, who's an actor who's in like Legally Blonde, and has been in many things, but has slowly been building himself as a filmmaker in the past. Yes, his father was Anthony Perkins, who, as most people know, was Norman Bates in Psycho, who was gay and sadly died of AIDS in the early 90s. Osgood Perkins' mother then tragically died in 9/11 on one of the planes. Yeah. And this whole backstory is just very interesting. And now he's come out and got this whole new chapter of his career. And he actually he acts in this film as well. He makes an appearance as one of the characters. But anyway, back to you, sorry.
No, not at all. And he's coming out with The Monkey, which is a film that strikes a really interesting tone between dark, horrific, violent, gory deaths and something funny and strange and peculiar. And so we have a really interesting opening scene where Adam Scott, just for this opening scene, runs into a pawn shop covered in blood with one of those monkeys that you've definitely seen in films before. They usually have a cymbal that clashes, whereas this is with a drum. And he's trying to pawn it off to this pawn shop. And he's basically just about the monkey is that kind of like a Death Note Final Destination crossover. You twist the back of this monkey, you dial it up, it bangs the drum, and someone very nearby, we don't know who, is going to die. And that is the situation that our character Hal finds himself in. We start with the beginning of the film. He's a young boy. They come across this monkey, which both of the twins take into their lives and slowly start to realize that the more they interact with this monkey, the more people start to die. We then catch up with how years later, after they bury this monkey down a well in the most Stephen King style ever, they find the monkey has resurfaced. It is based off of a Stephen King short story. And yeah, it's quite short, wasn't it?
It's a 98-minute
movie.
Theo
movie.
James.
Theo James, who we've seen from The White Lotus and the In-Betweeners movie.
Yes.
Let's not forget.
And Divergent to Sergiant, Allegiant, and Detergent.
We gave up halfway through. Detergent, yeah. So George, you and I saw it at a nice little press screening. Before we start, I just want to say... they were giving out some severed bloody thumb cake pops. Cake pops I'm usually a little bit lukewarm on.
Never had one before in my life.
They can be very overly sweet with too much icing to cake ratio. I'm just going to say this right now, best cake pop I've ever had, and I think you agree.
It's the first cake pop I've ever had. It's the best severed finger I've ever had.
You started with the good ones.
I had it, and you know what? I was craving some sugar that day. I was feeling a bit low. I'd already picked up 2 Twixes on the way with James, and that's an anomaly for me. I don't normally double Twix it.
Just say, we were here before we went to go see that. You and me spent maybe 40 minutes to an hour, just every 5 minutes being like, we could go for a burger before, but where would we go? I don't know.
And I was like, no, James, I'll eat after and I'll digest it on the train home. It's fine, but let me get my Twixes. You know what? They don't have the Twix extra long. I'll get the. Anyway, and I get there. They give us the cake pops.
Fantastic. I took another one.
I think I had 3.
I had 2. You had 3? Where'd you get your third?
No, I had 2. So you and I had basically a hand's worth of fingers.
Really good. Separately, George the monkey. How did you get on with it?
So, the monkey, which, as you say, has got all these good ingredients. Really excited to see what Osgood Perkins is doing. It's got Stephen King, Theo James we quite like. Yeah, it's a black comedy horror. That I found titillating and amusing, and it's got a really wacky tone, moments of extreme funny gore that I think is quite amusing and carried me along for a long time until maybe 2/3 the way in, the steam really started to run out of it. And I think even at 98 minutes, by the time we got to the end, I thought, oh, I feel quite empty now. And in the third act, it sort of builds towards sort of character developments and characters are brought in that I just felt absolutely nothing towards. And there was one character in particular, I'm like, what is this person doing in this film? I don't understand. Why are they dressing up like that? And why are they doing these things? What is going on?
Osgood Perkins has a thing for strange men with weird hair in
his
these horror films.
And look, what works is that there are the punchlines of extreme gore, particularly in the first 45 minutes. When we say like it's based off a Stephen King short story, I'd say the first 45 minutes to an hour is where it works best. The punchy violence, the cut back to when they're twins is just like that works really well. It's not scary, but it's kind of funny and atmospheric, and everyone in our audience was kind of laughing a lot. The guy next to you was having a great time.
Oh, the annoying laugh. It was the laugh that wants everyone to know that you're laughing. And that's why it's annoying. I've no problem with the volume of the laughter. You think it's insincere? It's insincere, and you're starting and elongating your laugh, and it's mistimed. It's like out of sync. Yeah. And that really fucks me off. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
Could you feel me seething?
I did. You saw your head turn a few times. I sympathise.
What are you doing?
I will say that also it's quite refreshing because with Longlegs, which we both quite liked, the one thing I found about Longlegs that frustrated me is that was so humorless the entire movie. It was devoid of any joke or anything, which is not... I just find that sometimes a bit unnatural in films. You can have a very serious film but have a moment of humour because it's very human. This is like an overcorrection where he shows his funny side. I'm like, great to see that. Theo James, it's one of those things where he's good in this, but he's also completely miscast. I like Theo James. He does good stuff in this. I don't want to take that away from him. But like, I think by the time I got to the end of the film, I'm like, do you know who should have played this role? Jay Baruchel. You know?
Oh my God, so much better.
He's meant to be this bookish, nerdy, glasses
Theo
wearing.
James is gorgeous.
Guy, and Theo James is like a hulking mass of a hunk.
Stunning. They put some glasses on him to nerd him up a bit, and I'm like, I'm sorry.
Sure,
no way.
I feel you just that, and Osgood Perkins turns up for a little bit wearing some like funny glasses. So it's not scary, but it's quite fun. It's quite playful. That it does ultimately run out of steam. I do wish. Do you wish it had just gone a bit wackier?
Even
though there's some wacky images, even though there are some wacky things that happen towards the end, I wish I cared more about it. And there were a couple of moments where I just by the end I thought, okay, I guess.
I thought the wackiness of the first half was going to build to a crescendo of something really out there and strange that never really came.
No.
But my thoughts are very, very similar. You know what made me was interesting about this is that it's quite a rare relief for me and you to go and see a film, and I literally hadn't seen a trailer.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about it, which is so, for us who are constantly going to see films and covering them, I'm like, oh, what a relief. All I know is it's Osgood Perkins from Longlegs, a film I really enjoyed last year. And this is, I think, one of those funny situations where I actually think it would have benefited me to have seen a trailer, to have a little bit of runway to know what I was coming in for, because what I really wanted from it was something a little bit more sinister and nasty. First of all, I think what Osgood Perkins is clearly trying to say with Longlegs and The Monkey is that, yes, he wants to be a really competent horror director, but I think he actually wants to comment on the grief and the horror that he's experienced in his own life and the death and the sadness. There's this whole point about everybody dies in this film. And that's kind of messed up, and that's on the poster. And I think he's clearly dealt with a lot of grief in his life. And on one hand, you can choose to engage with the darkness and the sadness, but you also have to have a laugh and realize that this happens to everyone. That's a part of the film. It's like, I've had such horrible death in my life, but everybody has things that have died. And I think he wants to toe this really, I think, quite hard to define line of like, death is horrible, but there's also something really funny about it. A particular moment of comedic a high for me was the motel swimming pool scene. I just thought it was so brilliantly done, and those moments are really funny, and maybe the characters wouldn't react that way if they saw it, but because you've had 45 minutes of setup by that point for some of those moments, you do just sort of tilt your head back and laugh, so that's great. And yeah, I agree with you. I think it felt like a short story that had been made into a film, and yeah, the second third act was running on fumes, and I did feel it, and I think it's a shame that because I just praised it for being split across two tones, I wonder now, would it be a more confident, definitive horror film if it had lent into the disgusting and the horror? Because maybe that's what I was after. And I think from coming out of Longlegs, I expected something with a little bit more nasty payoff, and that never came. It's a nice little note at the end as a final scene where you go, all right, yeah, I see what you're doing here. But other than that, a little bit disappointed, maybe, dare I say, a bit bored in the second half, which I think is a shame for a 95-minute film.
There's this thing that, because Stephen King's a great writer, but like there's a thing with narrative where like if you have a really strong concept, it's sometimes it's very hard to build a strong concept out into a fully fleshed narrative. So if you have a great act one, it's sometimes hard to build that out. And Stephen King actually has a story about an anecdote rather about how he came up with this idea for a story. It's got a great hook, but he had no idea where to go with it, so he never finished it, which is the story called The Ladies' Room, which is this idea that he had this story where it's at like Chicago airport and there's a flight leaving and there's the women's bathroom, and all these men's wives go into the bathroom to use the bathroom, but they never come out. And you have this sort of gathering of men just like, everyone keeps going into the women's room, but they never come out, which is an interesting concept. But he's like, I've no idea, where do I go from there?
Well, that's why horror shorts are so prolific, right? You see these 5-minute, 10-minute, or 2-minute horror shorts, and the whole end of it is the monster wins and gets the person, and these often become the opening scenes of their feature-length films. It's when you try and solve the problem, you end up with like some of the Conjuring first films where you end up having to have a fight scene with your demon, or like it becomes an action film or a final boss, and that's never as interesting as the monster just winning. And I said this on a few episodes ago, I'm like, in horror we need to stop having our main characters solve the problem. Is it not more satisfying is it not scarier for the darkness to win a little bit more? And I wish that happened in horror films more. Nobody makes it.
I
kind of like in the first Paranormal Activity, if you've seen the ending, it kind of
a bit more nihilistic. Blair Witch.
We don't need to all like, and we got over our parental horror. It's going to be okay now, isn't it, darling? Thank you for exercising the demon. I'm going to be okay. It's like, no, fuck you. Let the demon win. I just want to comment on this film. I mean more about horror in general, and taking a short form concept and going, okay, well, how do we do this in 100 minutes? Don't solve the problem.
So yeah, it's
maybe because we've sort of explain more about its tone and what it's trying to do. Guys might go and see it, and you might get something different out of it, and you get to appreciate it for what it is. Good deaths in there.
Yeah, some funny moments, and it's almost what Final Destination should have been, which has a sense of humour.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas Final Destination would have always been like, whoa. I said this to James the other day. Like the problem with Final Destination is that you'd have like someone be like, yeah, well, screw you guys, and then they'd get mown down by an ambulance going 70 miles an hour. And I'm like, what ambulance is going 70 miles an hour in an inner city area? Overthinking it, I know. Anyway, sure. That's The Monkey. So it is what it was. And then at the end, actually, we should say, I think you had to go by this point, but they showed a small teaser.
Oh, yes.
For Osgood Perkins' next film called
something.
I think it's called Fellow.
Okay.
And I was about to call it soon, but that's because after the trailer ended, it just said soon. I'm like, soon when? I think someone in the screening went soon, which looks much more horror based.
I was just going to say, I look
comedic.
forward to his next thing, which maybe
and it's got a lot of, I want to say, it's a teaser they show, but from the images I can tell you that it looks a bit like maybe a woman ends up growing the devil inside her, like a pregnancy thing, but different women. The trailer was lots of women looking at the camera in like a point of view shot in like a amorous way, and then those same women, different women, you'd see looking at the camera with concern, and then there was blood on their faces, and there was screaming, and there was people turning up at front door, the frosted window of a front door someone would arrive at, and it looked like, is it set in the past, is it set in the present? It's called Fellow, so I look forward to seeing that at some point.
He's getting them out, isn't he?
Let's have some reviews of The Monkey.
Oh, yes. So Gemma has written in with her review of The Monkey. Gemma writes in The Monkey review and says, "Hi guys, hope you're well. I'm a relatively new listener and first-time emailer. Gemma,
Hi,
thank
Gemma.
you. Welcome. I have just left a surprise screening of The Monkey and had to email in with my thoughts. I didn't know too much about the film going in, only that it was written and directed by Osgood Perkins, who also directed Longlegs, which I thoroughly enjoyed, so was excited to watch. The Monkey definitely landed more towards dark comedy than horror, and if I were to describe it, I'd say it was a cross between Final Destination and Scary Movie, with the plot being borderline ridiculous at points.
Yes.
I guess all I can say is that I've been left feeling confused. It's not that The Monkey is terrible, but less than a year after Longlegs, I couldn't help have a direct comparison in my mind. Maybe I would have enjoyed it more if I'd known what to expect, as I did know a lot of the humour and got some big laughs in the cinema. I just wanted to be scared, which I definitely wasn't. No. Would love to know your thoughts if you managed to see it. Thank you for all you do. This has quickly become my favourite podcast. Sending love from Scotland." Gemma, thank you. Well, there you go. That's what he said.
Do you
It's
know
like,
what?
Oh, sorry, no, go on.
No. Well, I was going to say that honestly, it's more tonally similar to something like Beetlejuice. You know, the kind of wacky, like, it's particularly this little midsection in like the country house. I was just kind of like,
yes, oh my God, it really
and
is.
the weird town where people are acting sort of strange. It kind of felt more askew. Some of the dialogue's all a bit askew.
The gore as well. Like, Beetlejuice could be quite funny with like body and parts and explosions. And
the when you said about the difficulty, we were talking about the difficulty of the concept as well. You know, you have got a antagonist in The Monkey, which is indiscriminate, because the way it works, that's how the death thing works. And also, to quote In Bruges, it's an inanimate fucking object. So it's like you have these people who are like, "Give me the monkey," and this monkey's just, and yes, it's got a scary face.
It's got bloodshot eyes,
but it's like it's inanimate until it does the drumming thing.
They do their best, like bringing the camera close.
Yeah, no, I know, but like, there's a limit, I think, to what you could do with that outside of a short story.
I would say, if you're thinking of seeing it, detach your impression of Longlegs from this, and instead just observe it as like quite a funny, subversive film. I really felt like it's Osgood Perkins trying to say something about death and grief and using horror to do that, and I admire it for that almost.
I don't think it's that deep, but I appreciate it. No, good for you.
I think so. I think the way in which like the brothers and grief tears families apart, trying to rationalize sad things happening to you.
Yeah, true. I took it more
I don't
like
know the guy.
he made Longlegs and he went, I also want to show people I can have fun.
Totally.
So then he made Longlegs. So then he made The Monkey. Another review from Ryan who says, "Hi guys, hope you've had a good week. Looking forward to my weekly visit to the kitchen as always." Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Someone's saying, "Will you listen?" I'm just popping down to the kitchen, the Pulp Kitchen.
Boys.
I'm just out of seeing The Monkey, and to be honest with you, I don't have much to say about it, but I did enjoy it overall. I found the idea of the film to be one of promise, as it was inspired by Stephen King's short story. However, I don't think they quite managed to fulfill it. I don't think Oz Perkins takes it far enough, which I don't think I'd say with how much blood and death there is. As low-budget horror films go, however, I think it just about hit the mark. It was silly, funny, exactly what I was expecting, but I did think a lot of the dialogue was very secondary school drama, especially towards the end where I think the best way to sum it up for me is a review I saw online that ended up with saying, "Why make a horror movie called The Monkey and not go full bananas?" All the best, guys. Ryan, I see that. Yeah, why it could have gone nuts to the wall, done something crazy.
That's all we have for you guys on The Monkey. But if you guys had thoughts, please, as always, send them in to hello@popkitchenpodcast.com. We would love to read them out on a future episode of the show. George, speaking of emails, should we go through some more?
Yes.
George, should we go through some of the emails that we get sent into the show every single week? As always, guys, if you want to send in your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, your reviews, you can send them into hello@popkitchenpodcast.com, or you can support us on Patreon and have priority access to have your email read out on the show from an @bbc.co.uk
hello.
email address. Alice writes in, friend of the show, friend in real life, and says, hello, George and James.
Hello.
I just wanted to chip in on Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy. I really enjoyed the film, but not as much as both of you. I do agree that it had real heart, and the way it dealt with grief made it much more poignant than I was expecting it to be. Guys, as always, review from last week, you can go check it out. I did find it funny in places, and the cast, as always, was excellent. However, the more physical slapstick comedy felt a bit old-fashioned to me, falling over and getting into scrapes, and the random trip to the Lake District, and then they made it all the way in that coach for the weekend. I think not. Was a bit of a stretch.
That's a parental observation, isn't it? Like, they had a school trip in that
That
coach.
sounds like someone who's been a parent on
Yeah.
a school trip there. Renee Zellweger herself felt a bit of a pastiche when she was being silly, and I'm so glad she had some emotional depth to contend with. It really helped with the character building, I think. I thought the chemistry with the chemistry teacher was a bit lacking. And
Is he chemistry? Yeah, he's
I
chemistry.
think he was chemistry, but I'll tell you in real
He's
life, he's a
geography,
geography
that's
teacher.
right,
With the chemistry teacher was a bit lacking, and I don't think they did enough to make us believe what happened in the end between those two characters. Yeah, I'll continue the rest. I sort of felt like it was a pivot, a turn change in that film. And it was like, between certain things, I was like, oh, and now we're here with this emotional thing. Sometimes. I kind of agree there. I will say it was an amazing postcard of London. And when I was lucky enough to speak to the director, Michael Morris, he told me it was his love letter to London. I saw I said it was like a love letter to Northwest London. I completely agree. I think he achieved that and more.
I also love the territorialness as well. You go,
It's Northwest London.
Yeah, it's Northwest London. Thank you very much.
It was Hampstead and Primrose Hill, basically. I think that he achieved that, and I was not going to lie. The scene given away by the trailer, where the song Mad About the Boy comes on, really works. Leo Whittle is really great in this film. I think Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy is the perfect antidote to the dark themes that are so prevalent nowadays. And whilst it's not my kind of movie per se, it was time well spent. You can't do better on a cold, rainy February afternoon. I agree, it had a nice, cozy shelter in the cinema and come and see. Take care, guys. Thanks for the content, which goes from strength to strength. Pulp Kitchen forever. Sirens. Alice. Kiss.
I like to think that Alice will scream that as she faces down the armies at Mordor. Let's go, Pulp Kitchen!
The White Walker. She just gets her sword. Instead of saying, for Frodo, it's Pulp Kitchen forever.
Sirens, assemble! Alice, a very balanced view that I would say that I thought there was chemistry with Chiwetel Ejiofor, and actually watching I was just like, Chiwetel Ejiofor, just a great actor.
Yeah.
I think he oozed charm, and I'm so glad to see him in something like that and not Venom 3.
And all the actors in Venom 3, I'm like, wow, they really got you for Venom 3, didn't they?
Why are you,
You don't need to be here, Chiwetel.
This next email is from Morgan, who writes in and says, hello, Pulp Kitchen guys. My name is Morgan, and I love your reviews and short form content. It feels like we have longer form.
Shout out to the short form content.
We also have long form content. It feels like a warm hug when you both speak so happily. When you both speak so happily about films, as I am a film and TV lover down to the core.
Just you speak. You just want it to be when you speak.
Yeah.
No. It's when you speak about films.
I don't
appreciate the waffle at the beginning of the episode.
Now for my question. I watched the podcast where you rate the films nominated for Best Picture, and I was curious about your take on if getting nominated for Best Picture is about the campaigning of the movie overall, such as interviews, press conferences, or even entering film festivals, or if these people in the film are just really good at gaslighting film critics into thinking their films are good when in actual fact they are not good, such as Emilia Perez. This goes for a few award nominations for Best Picture over the past few years. The gaslighting part might sound like a joke, but it does spark some conversations on how movies become nominated and prestigious just because it's unbelievable that some films get more love and attention than others. I'm curious as to why that is. Does the
said about Netflix doubling down on Emilia Perez?
Does the prestige of a film festival help one's campaign for the Reese, for example? I'm really curious as to what you both think. Hope the question makes some sort of sense. Look forward to your next podcast episode. Sending love from South Africa. Yours truly, Morgan. So
it's definitely a campaign, isn't it? From everything we've heard.
Very cynically, I'm afraid to say, it's conclave. It's all political. It's all lobbying. It's all. This is what the. I don't know if the Oscars have always been this, but it's definitely from the 90s onwards. Kind of Harvey Weinstein's influence onwards. Harvey Weinstein was very good at getting small films big attention. Not to give him any credit at all, but that's just a historical fact. And that's what the Oscars race has been for many years. It's just lobbying money behind it, making sure your talent has time available in their schedules to promote the film.
Exposure, TV, media,
Totally.
advertising,
You will have, we came back from Sundance last month. You will have film studios who go to Sundance, they look at the films there and they go, oh, that could be an Oscar contender for us next year.
Yeah.
And they pick a few horses in the race and they narrow it down.
I'd love to know over the years, what is the average like financial uptick from having your film to be in contention for Best Picture or nomination?
Yes.
Like I'd love to see some sort of like inside baseball chart of like, well, when we campaigned, the ROI on that campaign manifested this many more cinema tickets, or just whatever you want to call it. I'd love to know where that pays out. It's apart from just ego.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, obviously, a lot of the time films get a second release, which is like, oh, this film, like The Substance came out, then we're going to re-release it again. But it's in everyone's interest to try and lobby themselves for a film.
Because your studio's nominated, it's like, well, we got one for
exactly.
the next film,
or if you're an actor and you've got a project coming up, that's a much smaller thing, well, leverage all the exposure you can out of this train, because when the, let's say, The Substance train finishes at the Oscars, let's go, I can use that and promote something else down the line.
This next one is from Emmy, who writes in and says, hi, George and James, James and George, long-time listener, first-time caller. Emmy, you're here? My name is Emmy.
It's a seance.
Yeah. I'm originally from Argentina, but I moved to Germany 10 years ago. I love and appreciate how foreign films expose us to different cultures, perspectives, and even filmmaking styles that we don't often see coming from the big Hollywood machine. So with that in mind, what are some international films you guys watched, recent or past, that you loved and/or made an impact on you? I feel like people have been paying a bit more attention to foreign films in recent years, with movies like Parasite, Anatomy of a Fall, The Zone of Interest, and others. However, I still feel like audiences tend to need more reasons to sit down and watch a foreign film. How do you guys see this? Do you feel like you have to prepare yourselves in a different way when going into a foreign film? As an Argentinian, I just wanted to throw 2 great movie recommendations from Argentina your way. I cannot recommend The Secret in Their Eyes enough. It won the Oscars for 2009 for Best International Film. Very carefully crafted, great cinematography, characters that feel real, accompanied by a great plot about an unsolved murder, and she's done a little letterbox link there. The second one is Wild Tales from 2014. It was nominated for an Oscar but didn't win. The movie features 6 short stories about the different lengths people will go to in certain distressing situations. It gets really crazy, believe me, but it gets really crazy, believe me, but it's a great time. Thank you so much for putting a ton of work into the show. I really enjoy listening to it, as well as playing along to the games. Hugs to both of you. Sirens from Germany. Emmy.
That's really, I've heard great things about The Secrets in Their Eyes, and I really appreciate the recommendation. We do try, we're always open to more suggestions for foreign language films, and we should say that if you've come to look for a review of I'm Still Here, which is the Brazilian film that's been nominated for Best Picture, James and I are trying to get a chance to see it, hopefully for next week. It's unfortunately got a very limited release, which is very frustrating. I know a couple of people have emailed in already, but we hope to be covering that next week.
And also the concept of a foreign film is a bit amorphous in terms of like what maketh a foreign film. Like you said,
foreign language, I guess, right?
Foreign language, but it's also like some films don't feel like I've gone to see a foreign film when I go and see them, just because it's not all in English. So I'm always like, oh yeah, I guess that's a foreign film. But like a recent one that totally snuck up on me and I fell in love with was The Worst Person in the World. Absolutely loved that.
Yeah.
Beautiful representation of Oslo in there. Really love that. It sticks out. I guess I agree with you. Anatomy of a Fall.
I guess you're right. I don't categorize it in my head in the way that I go. There's not the foreign language category in my head.
I don't get my beret. Now I'll see a foreign film.
Yeah. I go, oh, I guess that was like, when you said Parasite in there, I'm like, oh, of course Parasite is a foreign language film. But I'm actually going to go to another email also about Argentina from Virginia. Virginia writes in saying, hello from Argentina. Hello guys, my name is Virginia and I'm from Argentina.
wait, where's she from?
I've been listening to your podcast for a few weeks now and I absolutely love it. Welcome as a new listener.
Welcome.
In one episode, you mentioned that you were looking for more movies in languages other than English.
Here we go.
So I thought I'd recommend some of the best and some of my favorite Argentinian movies. Here they are. Camilla from 1984, which was an Oscar nominee.
Good luck with this.
Hombre Mirando al Sudeste, which is Man Facing Southeast from 1986. I'm going to do this, James.
Go for it.
Nueve Reinas, which is 9 Queens from the 2000s. Crónica de un Fuga, which is Chronicle of an Escape from 2006. El Secreto de sus Ojos, which is The Secret in Their Eyes.
Guess the film from its Argentinian film game is get queued up.
Yes, The Secret in Their Eyes again, which was an Oscar winner. Wild Tales again. Relatos Salvajes. And finally, Argentina 1985 from 2022, also an Oscar nominee. So I also recommend all the work by director Lucrezia Martel, who directed The Swamp, The Headless Woman, The Holy Girl, and Zama. Hope you have a chance to watch them and that you enjoy them. Thank you very much for the pod, Virginia. This feels like
welcome.
Someone's come in with a huge bundle, just dumped it on her desk and be like, you want Argentinian films?
Here you go.
There you go.
Some foreign language ones. This next email's from... Oh, sorry, did you want to comment on that?
No, but what I did love, I've been to Argentina. And when I was in Argentina, I was speaking to this Argentinian man.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you really paused.
No, because I was just getting my facts right in my head, and I haven't pulled this memory from the data bank in a while.
You did a Richard Gere mid-distance stare.
I also was thinking his name was Santiago, but not to be confused with the city of Santiago, which is in Chile, which I went to, but after this event.
I see, yeah.
Anyway, he loved film, and he was telling me about The Secret in Their Eyes, and then he said, I'm also a huge fan of Mike Leigh and all of Mike Leigh's work, and I was like, wow, that's like... that's as British as they come, Mike Leigh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
This next one is from Jimena, who writes in about Emilia Perez from a Mexican perspective.
Right, which we've been wanting. We've had some people, some Spanish language people coming, but actually Mexican.
People talked about it not feeling that true. I said from my perspective, even as an English-speaking person, something about it felt off. The whole film fell off to me personally. Go and check out our George's review, our what sort of went wrong with our catch up on everything given the nominations. You can get a more refreshed take on where we sit with Emilia Perez. Jimena writes in and says, "Hi James and George and James, long-time listener, first-time writer. I've been catching up on the Oscar-nominated films as I always do before the awards, and I finally got the chance to watch Emilia Perez. In all caps, what a joke.
Yeah.
For context, I'm Mexican and I've been living in the UK for about 2 years now. One of the reasons I left my beloved country was the safety issues surrounding drug cartels and the war on drugs. So watching a film that touches on this topic hits very close to home. I went in with an open mind despite hearing terrible things about it. I wanted to form my own opinion. Well, now I can confidently say that this film is a complete disrespect to Mexican culture and our current reality. The worst part? The moment when Emilia Perez suddenly becomes the face of the movement searching for our desaparecidos, when she was the very reason they went missing in the first place. What a load of bullshit. It's as if all Mexico's cartels suddenly decided to repent, dug up the mass graves and declared themselves the good guys, completely erasing the hell they've put the country through. As a Mexican, I find this utterly insulting. And don't even get me started on the dialogue. Selena Gomez is awful. Is she supposed to be an American learning Spanish? Is she supposed to be Mexican? Either way, it makes no sense. The way she butchers the language is painful to hear. The songs are tasteless and the Mexican slang is completely misplaced, making the conversations feel unnatural and forced. It's just an awful film, one that I genuinely believe should not have been nominated at all. The lack of actual Mexican actors is infuriating. The audacity to cast Spaniards and have them pretend to be Mexicans is laughable. Everything about this movie is wrong. I still have 58 minutes left, but I already know how I feel about it. I just wanted to write in to say I completely agree with you. This film never should have been nominated, never should have won awards, and frankly, never should have been made. I just want to take the time to thank you. Your podcast gets me through my work week and is a very happy companion during my pre-work morning walks. I'm hoping the rest of the Oscar-nominated films are not as bad as this one. I really hope Conclave gets more recognition. Please have another quiz soon. Every time you have one, I'm away. Keep up the amazing work, and I'm so happy to see how much you've grown. All the best, Jimena, and thank you for telling me how you pronounce your name.
Well, thank you, Jimena. I mean,
that's scathing as it gets.
That's exactly what we've been asking for.
That's kind of my instinct, not knowing what you know about that film.
It's interesting that what Jimena picks up on is stuff that you and I wouldn't pick up on, which is the
slang,
the use of slang, and the difference between hearing the difference between Spanish speakers who aren't from Mexico speaking the Mexican and
Spain and Mexico are completely different parts of the world, and just because it's the same language, it's like. It's like if we were to be cast in a thing about Australian issues. Yeah,
or if like a Glaswegian was trying to do something in South Central LA. They both speak English, but it's just completely different.
It's so weird. If that happened in English, we'd be like, well, yeah, that's completely off. Just to double down, like it's not that Emilia Perez is the worst of the nominees. To me, it is one of the worst films I saw in the last 12 months. That's what's so surprising about it. I have no political qualms against Emilia Perez or anything it's trying to do. It's the fact that I'm just like blown away that it's been considered in this way.
And as we said in the when we did that episode running through the nominees, it's actually not a bad year. All the other nominees we have time for.
Yeah,
it's
we've
actually
enjoyed.
Just Emilia Perez that we don't.
Yeah,
like from Nickel Boys up for you, because I haven't seen Nickel, but like. It was
there's Emilia Perez at the bottom, and then there's a big gap between the rest, and they're all sort of interesting and different. Yeah,
I will say we're recording this the day after the SAG Awards, which is like the last. That's the Screen Actors Guild Awards, which is the last sort of awards before the Oscars, which is coming this weekend.
Yeah,
and Conclave still coming through strong. Yeah. I think Emilia Perez is has lost its way now. I don't think we'll see an Emilia Perez victory. It's Demi Moore now picking up an award, since she might have broken through. But the interesting thing is now Timothée Chalamet has won an award. He won an award last night. You do realise that the race now is incredibly tight for Best Actor between him and Adrian Brody.
Yeah.
And you do realise that on the one hand, you have Timothée Chalamet, who, if he wins, will become the youngest actor to win the Best Actor Oscar. The previous person to win that, and who currently holds the title for the youngest actor to win the Best Actor award, is Adrian Brody for The Pianist.
Oh, that's
so you
very
have
cool.
the person who holds the title and the person who could get the title in contention with each other. Isn't that funny?
That's brilliant.
It's like this sort of poetic justice there. Actually, for another year, Timothy could have been nominated, but Adrian Brody wasn't. But the fact they're actually nominated together in the same year is a nice little
Let's make them
neat
fight.
thing. That's
great.
There you go. And thank you for emails, guys. As ever, if you have any emails, particularly about the films that we've seen this week or in recent weeks, send them in to hello@pulpkitchenpodcast.com.
It's great to see new listeners emailing in for the
Yes.
first time. Love to see it grow the charts.
If you are a new listener, give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us.
But this isn't the end of the show.
Oh, no. Sorry, yeah. I genuinely thank you for joining us.
I don't want new listeners to get confused and go,
Well,
there
that's
we go.
Those games must just be for social media. George, shall we, as always, end with a game?
Yes. James, before we end with a game, I just want to give a big shout out to Matthew, who was one of our listeners who answered my call out recently.
Oh, yes.
To go to Stratford Station and tell me if the poster for the 2019 Keira Knightley movie, The Aftermath, was still there. For those who don't know, in 2023, I was going through Stratford a lot for work, and they had this poster there. And as a film fan, I was like, what is that still doing up? That's insane. It's prime location on one of the busiest stations in London. Anyway, Matthew went, and it is still there 6 years later after release, hanging there, very faded. Who knows why? Somebody said, oh, that poster format size has changed now, so they've got no posters to replace it. Somebody said, oh, it's because it was a Fox film and then Disney bought it. And
I
then
like to think someone's lost the key.
I think so, it's got broken off, yeah. And it's just thought this weird memorial. And you know what? May it continue to be there.
I like to think when the nuclear bombs go off and we come out of our fallout shelters and we're walking through the station in our gas mask, we'll look left and we'll just see the poster still there, beautifully preserved, me and you with our rifles, and be like, remember we did that film podcast? Go on, boys.
Secondly, I actually wanted to slip in a quick opinion about a film before we finish. I know we've done the emails and everything, but we've talked about on this show many times how a great underrated film from recent years is Deepwater Horizon.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Totally.
An underrated movie. That's a good
All
movie.
that it seems from its poster and premise and trailer, yeah.
Peter Berg directed movie, way better than that. Now, Peter Berg, within that same year, brought out another Mark Wahlberg starring, based on a true story, American film, which was Patriots Day, which is about the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013. Have you seen it?
No.
Right. I watched it this weekend.
Yeah.
It's been on my Netflix watch list for ages. I was at home with the parents and I was like, that'll do. Based on a true story. No. Got a cinema release, came out in 2016.
Right.
So it's been out for years. But I was just like, I really like Deepwater Horizon. That was a surprise. I should probably go and watch what he made next with Marky Mark. And you know what? He's done it again.
It's really good.
Solid movie, mate.
Okay.
Really solid movie. You've got Mark Wahlberg as the cop on the ground. John Goodman as the Boston Police Commissioner. You've got Kevin Bacon as the FBI agent sent down to do it.
Nice little director-actor combo going on
It's
there.
wonderful. You've got J.K. Simmons roaming around. They've got all this kind of like ensemble cast. Some of it is unbelievably tense. I thought I knew the story about the Boston Marathon bombing, but there was so much of it I didn't. And it's got great scenes of action in it. It's very tense and you really feel for some of the characters. It really flies by. It's really sincere. And I was like, damn it, Pete Berg,
Nice
you've
little
made another one.
recommendation.
So if you haven't seen Deepwater Horizon or Patriots
queue 'em
Day,
up.
go check them out. I was
Listen,
really happy
you gotta
with it.
trust me, okay? We're gonna jump. That's Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah.
You're gonna jump.
In this
All
one, it's
three,
like,
all right?
I'm a Boston police officer. I'm a Boston police officer. I can help you. I can help you with this.
Boston, yeah.
But really, really good. I recommend that to people.
Mark Wahlberg does the sort of everyman in a tough situation. I'm just trying to do my job.
Yeah, that's it.
I think we found a transformer.
Anyway, sorry, that was my little interjection. Over to you with the game.
George, the sound game
Returns.
is back after a little bit of hiatus.
Yeah.
We love the sound game.
Yeah, we do. We
nice way
need
to
time to go off and do some field research.
Yes.
Listen out. We need to sit in a field, close our eyes, and listen to the sounds in the ether and go, oh, that sound from RoboCop.
It's a
That
nice way
sound
to
from
be like,
this.
oh yeah, that film.
Oh yeah, that film.
There's a couple of those in here. I've got 4 sounds for you guys.
Okay.
If you don't know and you're new to the show, like some of our listeners might be, I'm going to play the sound from a film, and George has to guess what film it is from only the Sound. You can, of course, play along at home, in your car, on the bus, on your bike, or just in your bedroom.
On your bike, mate.
On your fucking bike. George, are you ready?
Yes.
You have to guess the film from the Sound.
I hate this place. This zoo, this prison, this reality, whatever you want to call it. I can't stand it any longer. It's the smell.
George.
Excellent clip. I got it even before he started speaking from the heightened strings in the background.
Yes.
That is, of course, the fantastic scene in The Matrix where Agent Smith speaks to Morpheus. He takes out his earpiece and he says, "It's the smell."
It's a wonderful monologue from Hugo
Yeah.
Weaving. I love that it's also a robot describing his distaste of humanity by the smell. And it's when you start to realize, like, there's actually more to Agent Smith. Like, he takes this little thing out and he's like, I know I'm here, but I want to
Yeah.
tell you, I
I
personally
despise you.
despise
Yeah.
the stink and the stench of humanity.
Yeah.
And Hugo Weaving does, it's the smell.
It's the smell.
Great monologue.
Oh,
Great
he's
monologue.
so good at that film.
Right.
So good.
Are you ready? One of my favorite films, I think, of all time. Are you ready for your next sound?
I am.
You have to guess the movie from the sound.
I like my work.
This is the most unfriendly act you're committing. I mean, I don't know what the problem is, but I'm sure it can be resolved without resorting to violence.
Right. The unmistakable voice of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So that logically,
But the way that he's speaking, I don't think it's Terminator.
no,
I'm going to say Commando.
no,
Ooh, Predator.
no. Think
Kindergarten
about,
Cop.
No, yeah, it was the other wing of Schwarzenegger.
The comedy side.
Yeah.
So it's not Kindergarten Cop. It's Jingle All the Way.
No, but you're sort of barking
Junior?
up the right. No, you're really
Twins.
close. Yeah,
Twins.
Yeah, there's unspoken in there, but Danny DeVito is the one who delivers the final punch, and he sort of gets this guy dealing with this in a way that's really not appealing. I sort of like that's Austrian Jeremy Strong.
Yeah. I played the right card. I was playing baseball.
I should inherit all of the fortune.
Good stuff. Good
As
pull, twins.
Yeah, I thought that film. Have you seen Twins?
Once,
Same.
and I enjoyed it.
Years when I was a kid.
I would happily watch it again.
I don't think I remember much about it.
No?
Apart from
All I
just,
know is
you know,
he's big, he's small.
yeah,
They're twins.
That's funny enough.
That's a funny enough. It's a joke of a premise. There you go.
Are you ready for your third clip? Guess the film from the sound.
Now, in the cologne department, most men overdo it. Americans practically spray it on with a crop duster. My rule, nothing above the neck. Though I do like a little splash on Big Ben.
Okay. I love this. I've not seen it, but I think that is the voice of Jude Law
Yes.
in Alfie.
Yes,
The
2004.
remake of the Michael Caine movie. Yes.
Film we've just never spoken about. Ever.
I've never seen it. I don't think it was that good.
I don't
was
think
it?
it's highly regarded. I have seen it and I didn't have a problem with it, but I've not seen the original with Michael Caine. But I think like it starts really strong because it's Jude Law talking down the line.
I'm
"Hey,
handsome."
I'm British, but I mean, yeah, a bit of spray down to Big Ben. I didn't dislike it, but I had no reference to the first one, the original, sorry. So that's just there. But I just wanted to.
Yeah.
It's a film we've never talked about.
No.
And I don't know why we would.
I don't know why we would. It's like, I would say probably 80% of cinema. It just exists.
It's just there. Alfie, yeah, it's like, you know, interesting.
He's a playboy, isn't he?
Yeah,
Kind of like he's
an outdated
womanizer.
now portrait of a man living in the city, bachelor pad.
Yeah.
This is my rules for life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of, we don't really do that anymore. George, are you ready for your last
No, thank you. We
sound?
don't really do
We
that
don't
anymore.
really do
Thank you
that
very much.
Ready for your last sound?
Let's do it.
You have to guess the film from the sound.
I hear you whispering. Planning on stealing something?
No, ma'am, we're not.
Plan on murdering me in my sleep?
What? No.
I know it's spot on. I know it, and I'm so glad you included that because if you haven't seen this film, that sounds like what sinister film is this? That is a terrible scene of dialogue from a terrible film, The Happening.
Yep.
That is Marky Mark.
Famous.
What? No. Oh God. Jeremy Strong's in The Happening. Not in that scene, but he's like an army cadet that comes up to the window and he goes, huh? Does the walk back at some point? Does the way the huh?
It's happening. We're gonna be
Something is happening.
Something
It's
is
the
going
trees
to be
and the
happening.
wind. Terrible movie, terrible scene of dialogue, but I'm really glad you put that in there. That's really funny.
It's funny. You can go and check that out on YouTube.
There's a bit where because that's when that's a bit where I realised that M. Night Shyamalan writes really strangely, because there's a bit where it's like M. Night Shyamalan wrote dialogue with AI before AI existed. You know, some of the dialogue just doesn't sound right. There's a bit where she says, I know you're watching me have my lemon drink. Like, what?
He's
lemonade?
clearly a brilliant mind. He's like an amazing machine that's like meant to mow a lawn, but he's being asked to cook.
Right.
And it's like something is like you clearly have like a passion and a zest for storytelling and art, but it's like something is just not quite.
I know.
Only because I just saw Trap last year and it was pretty bad.
I would say it's like you're clearly passionate about cinema, all of that stuff, but the funnel with which the ideas come out
and what gets made
is not a great funnel. I've got friends who absolutely are diehard Shyamalan fans, and they believe that like he is evidence of like what the film industry should be, which is someone who's got an idea, doing his own work. I think that's very generous of them. I think he's made some pretty ropey stuff.
World, yeah. Made some good films.
We need to rewatch Signs, really,
to
because we talk about that a lot. I think we talk about that.
Did you watch The Village?
Yes, I rewatched The Village recently, which works.
Sixth Sense.
But he's just, even in Signs, sorry, not even Signs, even in The Village,
Yeah.
he does get a bit silly. I'm not even talking about like the twist or anything like that. It's just sometimes the execution.
Beautiful moments in The Village, from my memory.
Yeah.
I like the when she's. I think a really great scene is when the bell has been rung, the red people are coming, and she's blind and she's holding out her hand, waiting for M. Night Shyamalan. And the music is tender.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Sorry, what did I say?
M. Night Shyamalan. That would be a twist.
But he is in all of his films, so it would be crazy. And when Joaquin Phoenix is like running, and the sinister horrors contrast with the beautiful James and Howard score, and I'm like, this really, this is a beautiful scene, and it's scary, but it grabs her hand, and you remember it's walking towards her in the back.
Well.
And Adrian
Brody's in that movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Not a
great
bad
cast actually.
Yeah,
for The
really
Village.
good.
It would make a good cast as
William
Countdown.
Hurt, Joaquin Phoenix, Adrian Brody,
M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Bryce
But
Dallas Howard.
I think Signs is the film of his that we talk about the most favourably.
I'd say so too.
I
think we talked before. I watched it at a really good age where I was a little bit too young, and it was probably just on the edge of too scary for me, which is a really great place to see a film when you're young because it like affects you. The found footage horror scene.
Yeah,
the kids.
baby. I remember, that was one of the first sounds you gave to me on the sound game.
Yes, it was, yeah.
M. Night, shame about the last film. Anyway, that was the game for this week, and that was the episode for this week, guys. Don't forget that you can check out our double take episode that we do exclusively on Patreon, like we said at the beginning of the episode, talking all about James Bond and Amazon and all of Leo's projects at the moment. It's a big week for film news.
The Rock's career seems to be taking a little bit of a turn. The Rock-Renaissance.
The Rock-Renaissance. Rock-on-Renaissance.
New episodes of this show every single Wednesday. We look forward to sharing more with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're a new listener, thank you for joining us. If you're a regular listener, thank you for joining us again.
Welcome back.
Keep an eye on the social media feeds as ever, guys, because we do post our interview series, Film Bites on there, our short form video series, and also lots of games and any junkets and interviews we do in that capacity. So keep following us on there. And any exciting events we go to, we post it on there. Love you guys. Have a great week. And thank you to our producers, Finn and Dave. We couldn't do it without you. Very much, guys. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.